Alright, welcome everyone. In this video we're going to look at the process of completing the square, which we can see the title here. Completing the square is a strategy or a technique that we use in algebra, particularly when we're dealing with quadratic equations. Now, in this chapter we've been looking at how a quadratic equation relates to the graph that we draw. Completing the square can be used in that process to help us find two bits of information. First of all, we can use completing the square to help us find the turning point when we were graphing this equation. Or secondly, we can use completing the square to help us factorize this equation to help us find the x-intercepts. Now, this is the first example that I'll go through, and then I'll go through a couple more examples in a minute. But this video is just a revision of what we've been doing in class. Okay. So the first step in completing the square is always to look at my equation, y is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 7, and determine the term that has an x in it. And that's this term here, 4x or plus 4x. We need to look at the coefficient of that term, 4 or positive 4. And then we need to find half of that value. So easiest way to find half is to divide by 2. And we already know this, but we can see that half of 4 is equal to 2. Once we've found half of that middle value, or the middle coefficient, we then need to square that, which gives us 4. Now this process is really important for finding both of these numbers. This last number is probably the most important, but this 2 is also really useful, as we'll see in a minute. Once we've found this 4, we're going to rewrite our original equation. Y is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 7. Notice how I left a gap in there? The reason I left a gap in there is because I'm going to add in plus 4 minus 4. Now you might be looking at that and thinking, well, that's not the same equation, is it? And actually it is. If we look at it, we've got x squared plus 4x, they're both the same, plus 7, they're both the same. This second time we've written it out, we have plus 4 and minus 4, two extra terms, but they actually add up to 0. So they don't change the value of my equation at all. It stays exactly the same value. I've just added 4 and then I've taken away 4. Now the reason we do this is because we want to complete the square. And notice how we did 2 squared here. 2 squared is equal to 4. To complete the square, we needed to end with a plus 4. Now, once we've found this step here, so once we've written out our equation with a plus 4 and a minus 4 in it, the next thing we want to do is we want to factorize the first 3 terms. Now, because we got this 4 for the process of completing the square, these first 3 terms should factorize very nicely, and in fact they do. They factorize to x plus 2 squared. Now, how do I know it's x plus 2 squared? Well, that's where this number comes in handy. It's whatever that number is. X plus 2 squared. And then I just have to look at the numbers on the end, minus 4 plus 7. And they add up to plus 3. So that's the process of completing the square done. That's it. No more completing the square. And actually we can find the turning point by looking at this number here, plus 2. Now it turns out our turning point is actually minus 2 and plus 3. Now you might be asking, why is it minus 2 instead of positive 2? And the answer is because it's in brackets, we need to find the value for x to make this bracket equal 0. And that value is minus 2. So minus 2 plus 2 equals 0. That's why we take the minus sign instead of the plus 2. Let's do another example. I'll just move down a little bit. at example 2. Y is equal to x squared plus 6x plus 8. Again, first thing we want to do is we want to look at the middle term, plus 6x. Just make sure that looks like a plus 6x. So that's the middle term, and we want to find the coefficient of that term, which is 6. And we want to find half of 6. Now we know that's 3. Once we've got 3, we want to square that, and that'll give us 9. Again, the same as last time, we write out our original equation again. Y is equal to x squared plus 6x plus 8. But again, notice I left a gap. This gap is so that I can plus 9 and minus 9. Plus 9, minus 9. And again, why do I do that? Well, the reason I do it is because I want these first three terms to be able to be factorized really easily. And they factorize really easily into x plus 3 squared. And then I've got minus 9 plus 8 on the ends. That becomes minus 1. Now, at this point, I can again find my turning point. And we need to find what value of x makes these brackets equal to 0, or minus 3. So our turning point is minus 3, comma, minus 1. Okay. Now, the one thing that is different between this example where we ended and this example, you can see we've got x plus 3 squared minus 1, or x plus 2 squared plus 3. So the sign is different in both cases. In this case, because it's a plus sign, we can't factorize this. But because there is a minus sign here, we can factorize it using difference of 2 squares. So I'm just going to factorize this really quickly. X plus 3 squared minus 1 squared. Now normally in here we would put the square root of 1, but we happen to know that the square root of 1 is 1. That's why we've left it as 1 squared. So our answer is x plus 3 plus 1 times x plus 3 minus 1. Again, notice x plus 3 is in both brackets. One bracket has minus 1, this one here. The other bracket has plus 1. That happens because plus 1 times minus 1 gives me minus 1 squared. Then I can just simplify my brackets and it becomes y is equal to x plus 4 and times by x plus 2. Now our x-intercepts from that are minus 4, 0 and minus 2, 0. Again, I want to find the x value so that this bracket becomes 0. Minus 4 plus 4 is equal to 0. So minus 4 is my first x-intercept. Minus 2 plus 2 is equal to 0. So minus 2 is my second x-intercept. But I just want to stress, up to here is where we're done. As soon as we've got up to here where we can find our turning point, we've finished completing the square. Then we do difference of 2 squares to help us fully factorize our equation. Let's do one other example quickly. Let's just do it in the space on the right hand side of the page. So example 3. Alright. So we've got y is equal to x squared plus 8x plus 5. So again, first thing I need to do, I need to find my middle term, or my x term, find the coefficient, 8, and I want to find half of 8. Half of 8 we know is equal to 4, and then we want to square that number. 4 squared is equal to 16. We then want to write our original equation again, but leaving space to plus and minus 16. So we're plus 16 minus 16. And again, we're interested in these first three terms. We know they factorise nicely to x plus something squared. That something is the 4, because when we halved 8, we got 4. So x plus 4 squared. Then we add these two terms on the end, 16 and 5. So minus 16 plus 5 is minus 11. From this point onwards, we've completed the square. So I'm just going to write the turning point is equal to minus 4 comma minus 11. I can continue to factorize this more. I am going to show that here, but it's using difference of two squares like we used in example 2. So let's continue. Y is equal to x plus 4 squared minus the square root of 11 squared. Now I'm just going to quickly, actually no, I'm going to leave that as square root of 11. And we can write this out as y is equal to x plus 4 plus square root 11 times x plus 4 minus square root 11. Now, if you decide that you want to use the decimal version of the square root of 11, that's completely fine. You're welcome to do that. You don't have to leave it as a surd in this topic. But if you were to go and do methods next year, you would probably need to leave that as a surd most of the time. And I'll just give the x-intercepts from this. X-intercepts are equal to, now we want to find the minus signs of all these. So minus 4 minus square root 11, comma 0, and minus 4 plus square root 11, comma 0. And there are two x-intercepts. But again, as soon as I've gotten to this point here where I can find my turning point, I've finished completing the square. So I hope you found this video useful in revising completing the square. If you didn't understand something, please watch the video again and attempt to try another question alongside and see if you can get to the correct answer. Maybe you want to look at a question in the textbook so you can check your answers easily. But if you still don't understand after watching the video a couple of times, please send me a message and I will be happy to help you out with that. Thanks for watching.